Sometimes you got to check in on the two-time defending national champions, just make sure everything's okay. Everything's still running smoothly. I think it is. We got Anthony Dasher here. We appreciate him jumping on board. You can catch his work on ugasports.com. That's on Rivals. Anthony, what's going on?
Just kind of getting ready to work into the summer months here. Football, as you know, is a 12-month-a-year deal anymore. So still plenty to keep up with.
Well, the last time we talked to Georgia football with you was leading into the NFL draft, and then it wasn't too surprising that last weekend we saw more Georgia Bulldogs, along with Alabama, come off the board than any team in college football. And then you put that together with the 15 that came off the board the previous draft, and it's a record for 2 drafts consecutively. So, this just speaks to what Kirby Smart took over from Mark Richt and then elevated beyond that in terms of just producing NFL talent like nobody, pretty much.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, we've talked, I know, several times about the job Coach Smart and his staff have done recruiting, and it's really gotten to the point where they're, just able to. If somebody comes out of the lineup, they're able to put somebody in who's really, at least athletically just as good. And a lot of times, all these guys need a little bit of experience, and we saw that last year with some of these kids coming in and really kind of stepping up their game. And next year, I expect the same. Georgia loses some very good players, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, but they've got guys on the squad right now who they think they can step in and do the job as well.
Anthony, was there anybody taken in the draft that you think was maybe a little lightly regarded, or is there anybody in particular that you think, sure, they had a good college career, but really their game suits for the NFL, and you are interested to see how well they make an impact at the next level?
I don't know. Everybody kind of went kind of where I thought they would go. If anybody maybe surprised me a little bit, maybe it was Stetson Bennett to a certain extent going in the 4th round, because I think a lot of projections that I saw had him going 6th or 7th, but that just speaks to what the Rams thought of Stet to pick him in the 4th round like they did. Now he's joins Matthew Stafford, another former Bulldog, in that Rams locker room, so that's going to be interesting to see what happened. But otherwise, no, I don't think so. I know there was a lot of talk going in about Jalen Carter and his arrest and all that. That those charges were he pleaded no contest to him. He still went in the within the top 10 pick, went number 9 to Philly, as we all know. So I don't know if I really would count that as a big surprise. But no, I think everybody went pretty much where I thought they would go.
I'm not betting against Stetson Bennett. I'm going to be the last guy to do that. I hope everybody out there has learned their lesson.
Yeah, no question about that. I mean, you still was been on Twitter this morning. You still got a lot of people out there in football land who are, doubting what Stetson can do. But no, that again, been covering the sport a long time now. Been covering Georgia football a long time, and his story is one that's be talked about and written about for years and years to come. And definitely not. I mean, if I was the Rams or their fans, I'd be very excited about having him on my team right now, because all the guy does is win.
Anthony Dasher's here at the Voice of College Football to talk up the Bulldogs. You can catch his work at ugasports.com right there on the banner, Georgia football on Rivals. And, we see a direct correlation. I had a back and forth with somebody the other day that was like, you can keep your 4 and 5 stars. I'd rather have hardworking 3 stars. It's like 4 and 5 stars can't work hard. Well, there's a direct correlation between recruiting and the NFL draft, and then the wins and the championships in the middle. All you have to do is look at Georgia and Alabama and Ohio State, and they're pretty much the 3 best examples, but even beyond that, and it's obvious. Well, in the middle, you got to spend money to recruit, and it was released just here in the last week or so, the recruiting budgets for the various college football teams, and Georgia's number 1 at $4.51 million. Maybe it's a lot of those trips out to the West Coast to grab guys like Brock Bowers. I don't know, but just your response to some of the numbers that have been released.
Not shocked at all. I mean, in fact, we did a study ourselves, been a couple of years ago, and Georgia's really been the number 1 team as far as being willing to spend on recruiting as anybody in the country, really, since Coach Smart, has been there. Georgia is now a national brand, and to be a national brand, you've got to go all over the country to recruit, and they're recruiting kids from all corners of the United States, right now. So to hear this, that's right now it's at 4.5 million. Absolutely does not surprise me at all. And you talk about having 4 and 5-star kids, and some schools really have the 3 and 4. I guarantee Coach Moore would love to play those teams every year to kind of get through a season. But no, you've got to have the Jimmies and Joes, and to get the Jimmies and Joes, you've got to go out and see them, and that's what Georgia's doing by spending all this money.
And folks out there will bring up the 3 stars that come through and become great players.
Sure, they
yes,
do.
absolutely. It's not every player comes through as a 4 or 5 star and then the 3 stars don't come, but the mass volume obviously proves out. I saw this number in the last year. 5 stars make NFL rosters almost 45% of the time. 4 stars, it's more like 12 to 14%, and 3 stars, it's like 3 or 4%. So that pretty much shows you.
Yeah, you see those examples, but just because you're a 3-star doesn't mean you're a very, very good high school football player. I mean, what is the percentage again
Sure.
of how many kids in high school go on to play college ball at any level? And it's going to be something like 4 or 5%, even maybe even a little less, than that. So, it's so just because somebody is a 3-star kid, that doesn't mean by any stretch you can't go and be a very good football player. But on the same hand, if you get these guys who are 4 and 5 stars, these elite athletes, they're going to make a huge difference if they're willing to put in the work to go with the talent.